Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
All right, this is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Jacked Up Joel.
Hey guys, what's up?
And today, it's a little special episode. We have our first interview with a director, the world-famous, award-winning director, Jacky Song.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Of course.
So, Jacky, you have a new short film coming out pretty soon, from my understanding, Incognito. And you're on the show today to discuss that. And also, I just want to get to know you a little bit. So, can you give us a little bit of your background, where you're from, all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. My name is Jacky. I am originally from China. I moved to LA roughly 8-9 years ago for my undergrad degree. I got my bachelor's degree in film production and screenwriting at Loyola Marymount, and then worked for a production company for 2 years, and then went on to direct a bunch of shorts. I recently wrapped up a production for a TV show and currently developing a feature and got signed on an action movie.
Cool.
I'm also a second year MBA student at Chapman University. And yeah, that would be pretty much it. I have to mention that my biggest inspiration, idol that drive me into this filmmaking business is actually Jacky Chan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, his
nice.
success
Right.
in the film industry really sparked my extensive interest in filmmaking. Started when I was in elementary school, and growing up, I have watched pretty much all of his work made in Hong Kong, Hollywood, and later in other foreign territories. And I feel like his, spirits, his perseverance, the fact that he never used stunt doubles in performing
Right.
those life-threatening stunt scenes became my biggest inspiration in kind of, emulating his career path and a driving force for me to explore in the Hollywood industry.
Cool. Hey, and you have the same name.
Yeah, it just happens.
Awesome.
Parents big Jacky Chan fans?
So, you said you've done other short films. How many other ones have you done?
I've done 6 in total for now. But after I have completed that TV series a couple of weeks ago, I feel like I probably it's time to put an end on all the short content and start diving into long feature length content and movies. But it's been a long journey since I started making short films and gather all the information, learn those nuts and bolts of how to make movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I could eventually make transition into a professional filmmakers and making real content, feature length content for global audience. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned you're working on a feature film right now. Is there anything you can talk about with that, or is it still in very early?
The one. Are you asking about the one I'm developing myself, or the one that I got signed on? The action one, the action movie one. Which one?
Are
you referring to?
One. Yeah.
Yeah. The action movie. Yes. I actually talked to. I was in a meeting with the executive teams and the writers 2 weeks ago, and they're very interested in having me onto the team, and eventually we were able to strike a deal. So the story basically talks about an Asian lead, Asian African American lead assassins raised in Japan, and then we follow her journey about those revenge story, revenge type of the story, how she dives into martial arts, trained as a professional assassin killer, and then eventually the story also involves a lot of those government conspiracy in and military stuff. It is inspired by a true event, but in terms of those details, I don't think I'm able to disclose much of that at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it. I'm very proud of getting signed on this project because I know typically a director's journey would be you start with a shortened content, short format content, and then you work your way up one step forward. Typically, you would have to garner a lot of exposure, or have your own fan base, or got nominated or win numerous awards at different festivals. I'm talking about Sundance, South by Southwest, and other major film festival around the world. But my career trajectory, tend to be a little different. Maybe, there's a little luck in it. I just happen, to, be selected for this, 8-figure projects, after, the last TV shows. So that's a huge turning point for my career as well. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Wow. Yeah. I noticed that, you, in the 6 shorts that you've done so far, you've got about 33 wins, 33 awards, and
we did.
That's an amazing ratio.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess it's all about collective effort and collaborations. I couldn't garner those nominations and all the accolades and recognition around the world with my own efforts.
Sure.
Our cinematographer, who was recent graduate from my program at the time we're filming it. So there's a lot of other factors, a lot of great packaging among our young generation filmmaking community. And those team chemistry and camaraderies are something that I value the most, especially as a young filmmaker.
Yeah, that's great. So just if you can give us like an estimate. So, we have both watched, Incognito. That's the one that we want to talk about today. How long does a project like that take?
Are you talking about like the entire production cycles, including post-production to pre-production, or just the principal cinematography?
No, the whole thing. Because it's a 30-minute film. It's a 30-minute film. So I'm like, I feel like maybe a lot of people don't understand how long even just a 30-minute film can take to create.
Of course. So we started. I have this idea, this concept, in I think it's back in September 2020. Sorry, it's September 2018. I was about to say 2019, but yeah. But we start writing all the storyline and everything in September 2018, and then we film it in 2019, March 2019. We shot it for 13 days, and then got into the post-production phase in like June or something, because the way our film school works is typically student filmmakers are only allowed shoot on the weekend, so we kind of just break it up into several weeks.
Okay.
So we didn't film it all at once. Like typically, like when you're talking about those movies or TV shows produced by big studios and networks, they tend to shoot it, in a consecutive days and just wrap up the whole production altogether. But no, I think we spent like a month or two for everything. But we only shoot on the weekend to kind of take advantage of all the student discounts, and if you rent out all the equipment on the weekend, they only count the price by 1 day, which is great kind of advantage for young filmmakers or emerging filmmakers who want to make their first short or first content. But then the whole post-production phase took us nearly six months. I would have to say 2 months to lock the picture for our final cut, and then we got into color, sound. We also flew to Budapest for the orchestra recording section. So that was kind of fun to work with roughly 50 musicians in a studio. But to answer your question, I guess the whole cycle of the project took us roughly a year to complete, which is not uncommon for all my shorts, because I tend to be very precise and slow paced and really refined. I am kind of that director or filmmakers who really try to get down to those nitty gritty details and refine all the things in the camera frame and try to present the best quality possible to all my audience and viewers. That's just my work philosophy. If it's bad, I would rather not show it to any of the audience until I think it's ready to the public.
Well, that is definitely something that I can see. When we first got the email and everything, asking if, we wanted to do an interview with you, and that, had Incognito was your newest film, I was like, okay, we've never had an interview before. So I'm thinking, okay, this is some, real independent, going to be kind of bad quality, not going to be that good, But then when I watched it, I'm like, wow, this is legit. Yeah.
Like this quality was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's definitely, it's definitely not a student film, for sure. At least the quality didn't seem like that. And the writing was great. The acting was good, which is another thing that's hard to do.
Right. I mean, as a student filmmakers, yeah, I noticed that, because, back in film school, I think, a lot of people, they don't have faith in our projects. Some people may say that, this could be maybe too ambitious as a student film. But what I always tell them is, especially when you start, as a student filmmakers and you're adamant and you insistent on going down to this career path, I feel like you shouldn't treat yourself as a student filmmaker. You gotta be holding on to a very high standards in the first place. If you see yourself as a newbie, as a young filmmaker, I feel like you've already felt in the first place, and that's something that we don't want to do because we got a ASC student not award winning cinematographer. ASC is I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but ASC basically is a American Cinematography Society, and that student award is the top honor that anyone can get among our generation, people in their early 20 or mid 20. Mm-hmm. So we have a close friend of mine happened to win that award the year we were filming this movie. And I feel like all those elements and all the team members that I brought onto this project kind of share the same quality, hold on to a very high standards, and share the similar aesthetics and taste, and have a quality for eyes and and everything, and that is actually a very crucial component of our success. And we're also very lucky to get nominated for the student Oscars last year, which kind of something that I'm truly proud of, because I actually, my first couple years at film school was plagued with self-doubt. I'm not sure if my directing skill sets, techniques, and my vision is in line with what Hollywood standards would be. So right. Mm-hmm. I to be honest, I was definitely I have my self-doubt. I'm not sure if that would be my ultimate path, my career path going forward. But the nomination really helped me establish my confidence, and I would very much like to channel the same ethos and work philosophy going forward. And I believe, and now, like, moving forward, I just feel like that nomination is really, kind of make myself make myself believe that, as long as you trust your instincts and follow your passions, you could do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Right. I was just thinking while watching Incognito earlier, while watching it, I was like, if this was a feature film, like a feature length film, I could see this getting nominated, like in the big leagues, like Oscars. And
I appreciate
the quality. The quality was really good. And the writing, like I was saying, the writing was really good too. So with the same, careful, at the same cared for quality in a feature length film, I could definitely see it up there. But I thought it was really good.
Thank you. I appreciate your kind words.
So, Jacky, can you tell us a little bit about it for our audience? Tell us a little bit about Incognito, the plot.
Yeah, of course. So, are you asking me my inspiration or just the storyline?
The storyline, like what the movie's about. Yeah.
Right. So the movie is about a self-proclaimed time traveler who claims herself that she has teleported from the past, and eventually she's locked up in an asylum in the 90s after being diagnosed with a chronic mental disorder, but when in fact she had been telling the truth the whole time. And then during her time in the asylum, she confronts her psychiatrist, Dr. Fairs, who later takes the whole case into his own hand and eventually unravel the mysteries and the truth behind her background and her statement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's pretty impressive to be able to put so much into 30 minutes too. And it didn't feel rushed. I feel like a good short film should have a good pace, not feel rushed, not try to tell such a complex story and condense it down to 30 minutes. But the way that this one was there is a complex story, but it leaves you kind of wanting more. it leaves you kind of wondering, like, okay, how does this all work? And how, because it kind of wraps up the story, but at the same time, you're like, man, I want to learn more about these characters. And so I feel like this idea that you have could have been a feature-length film.
Could have
itself. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever, if that movie is ever made, let us know. So definitely watch it, because I would definitely watch a full-length feature of this story. So
yeah, I mean, I wish we could have that forethought of developing as a feature film the first time when we wrote the short film, but unfortunately, we don't have any plan in terms of the feature length or the spin off of this project. But I mean, when we're developing this concept, we just aim at creating an award-winning short film and try to find a story that fits the best to the length, the structure and the story arc. And this movie just happens to be the one. And we came across on because I mentioned that it's I mentioned it in the movie, and it's actually based on the true event. So we just happened to come across the one online on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I totally forgot about that. That is in the beginning of the movie. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this, because that sounds really interesting.
Right, but to answer your question, I do see the potential to turn it into a feature-length film, because I think partly because there's just so many plus leave unanswered in the end.
Right.
Like, such as the woman who eventually vanished in the cell. I'm not sure if I have spoiled the plot or not, but I don't think so, movie. Because but there will be a big but after that there is still a major twist, and at the end, and that I probably wouldn't tell the audience for that. Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, just one more thing. So, something that I noticed too that was really cool about this movie is, so it takes place, part of it in the 50s, and then most of the movies in the 90s. But you do a good job with, like, the costume design and the car that you used, and you kind of the way that the hair is done, and all that. It really brings that, like, 50s atmosphere and tone to that time period. So I thought that was really good. It's, like, believable, it doesn't seem like people from 2019 or 2020 trying to play a 50s person. It looks legit, like you actually traveled to the 50s, or someone from the 50s actually traveled to the 90s. So great job there. And I did want to ask about the actors, what the casting is like for a movie like this.
Well, first of all, I want to go back to that production design and costume. Both processes in terms of production design and castings were pretty tough. It was a challenging process. For that costume and production design, I greatly enjoy the process of working with our production designer and the costume designer. Like the way that we present, the way I convey my vision to them is I have all those lookbook and the color template, the color choices that I prefer to use for each character available, and make it available to other creative heads so that they could provide me with their feedbacks in real life custom pieces and production props to me, and then I got to choose which one would be the best fit to our story. So that process is something that I really cherish with in those moments working with Dan are probably one of the best things in the creation of film.
Right.
In terms of the audition, it was very hard to eventually lock down that one character, especially the doctor role. It wasn't until the last minute that we found out that we really, locked down this role. I think we went through more than 50 people.
Oh wow.
For the doctor, but none of them really sat right with me at first. But I think our casting director, who is also serving as one of the producers in the movie, sent me a self-tape, like the tape, audition tape to me, and then we invited Tom, who plays the psychiatrist in the movie, to our school, and like the moment he walked into the room, I can feel like, oh, that's the person I want for the movie, because like his posture, his body language, and his professionalism as a doctor, it just feels like, okay, he's the real psychiatrist. Without any performance, like he doesn't even act to it. Like the way he talks, walk and express himself is just like, okay, he's a professional psychiatrist. In terms of Isabel, that mysterious lady in the movie, there were a few roles that we really took a lot of time considering on the final round, because I feel like the audition process that I normally encounter is, okay, there's so many talented, incredibly talented artists or talents or actress in the room. But what really, what especially on the final round, what really matters is that team chemistry, because oftentimes, people they have a great talent in performing a role, but do we get along for each project? Not necessarily. So I kind of on the final round, we kind of just test water and see if we could get along with each other. So I call back like 3 or 5 actors for that Isabel role and ask them to the room one by one, and kind of just start giving them some of the instructions and tell them how we could further improve. Those interaction are something I value the most, because essentially we will be communicating a lot on the day of the shoot. So that chemistries and interactions are something I think is the most important part. And eventually Autumn, she's not only very receptive to the opinions, but brought a lot of her opinions to the table, to the role. So that give us a very compelling reason locking down her for the role.
Yeah, it sounds like a very intricate process, and I mean, the final product speaks for itself. The psychiatrist, I feel like I've seen him in other things. I was kind of
right. I think he has a lot of credits on IMDb, and he was starring on many of the TV shows and studios projects.
Before, I think was he in Law and
he
Order,
took on my projects.
He
also played a role, played a Donald Trump, back in the days. Yeah, on a Fox show. I'm not sure if you think he shares some resemblance.
I can kind of see it.
Yeah, president, former president. Yeah,
that's funny.
But yeah, he does have experience. He has an extensive experience in acting. Autumn, on the other hand, I think she has more experience in theater arts, acting on stage. that's what her background calls for. But eventually, I think she told me like prior to filming our Incognito, I think she told me that she was making the transition into film and television in China. Get some roles, get some in-camera roles. Yeah.
Cool. Joel, you were going to ask something, I believe.
Yeah. Where, if anywhere, can people find your other short films?
Other short films?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you talking about Incognito or other shorts?
The other one is Incognito's not out yet, is it? Or has it been?
No, not yet. I mean, we got selected into Dances with Films, and I'm currently dealing with several half dozen distribution company, and we're right now finalizing the deal for distribution. So I think audience should be able to access the film very soon on their platforms.
Yeah. Can people find your other short films that you've done?
Unfortunately not. I did not. I don't think I make them available to the public.
Okay.
Yeah. But I made a horror film a couple of years ago. I made a drama, family drama. And there's also an action type of film back in 2015. But I think I mean, as a emerging filmmaker, like back in the days, I was hoping to try different things and see which one I am good at, before position myself to a very niche genre or a certain type of filmmaker. But I'm super glad that I've found my niche and eventually, really buckled down to making my own movies, own feature films. And but like these days, I feel like I'm more inclined to make something that is socially relevant or touch on socially relevant issues and something that could greatly resonate and strike a chord with my audience, because I was taught in film school that as a filmmaker, we have responsibility to tell those true untold story to the world and kind of help our viewers and audience to at least take away something from your film instead of just making a popcorn movies. But that's kind of my dedication and my devotion I set up for myself as a filmmaker, to create some socially relevant issues and make some important film that next generation would reference in the future.
Yeah, and Incognito does have some of that in there. With the main character.
Does.
Right. Those plot and storyline that you're referring to, I actually made it up. But the prototype of the film is very straightforward. It talks about time travel stuck inside a mental asylum and how her primary doctor unravels the whole case. But the second part of the story is actually something my writing team and I made it up in order to touch on some important social issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So you said that you made a horror film.
I did. Yes.
Yeah. So that's typically what we review on the show here. So I mean, with Incognito, it's definitely more of a drama with like some sci-fi, I guess, elements.
Right. And mystery, I think.
Yeah.
It's more like a mystery, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely a mystery.
Kind of untangle each plot one step at a time. And there are also many clues and, and things that lead to the end.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would be curious to watch that horror film. Maybe we can. Maybe we can talk
Absolutely.
about that later.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be awesome. And would you ever make like a feature, like a horror feature film, like a full length?
Absolutely. I mean,
not your.
No. I mean, I'm very open to making any types of film, as long as it touches on some social issues or some true event.
Can be the next.
But I think Jordan Peele is something like that. Jordan Peele is one incredible, remarkable filmmaker. But I do find myself struggling with, creating, movies or content with those comical elements in it. I think it's very tough to write a comedy or even direct comedy. If you ask me which genre would be the most challenging for filmmakers. So of course I can't speak for others, but for myself as a filmmaker, I think comedy might be either TV or movie. I think it might be the toughest things for a director or writer.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that.
I mean, comedy is subjective, so it's like what you find funny, other people may not, and you just don't want your jokes to land flat with the majority of people. So
especially those dark comedy, because we were talking about Jordan Peele's Get Out, and those movie incorporates a lot of dark comical elements in it, and I think those things are pretty tough to handle and utilize.
Yeah.
Well, he came from a comedy background, so I'm sure it's different for, but yeah, I can understand, comedy being as a genre a very difficult thing to tackle. If if you don't have that type of a background, Anyway, so yeah, I can fully see that.
Okay, so Jacky, did you have anything else you wanted the listeners to know about you or anything like that?
Well, the last things that I want to say is kind of things that the audience could take away from the film. I feel like oftentimes the beautiful part of a movie franchises or TV program is that they would never get old. And these days I'm still watching some of the classic movies inspired by a lot of true events like Bonnie and Clyde and Rear Window. And like for me, I can't reiterate and emphasize enough that I intend to not only create something cinematic for the audience to watch, but also kind of paint a revealing picture of a strange event about time traveling, as well as tapping into those socially relevant issues that people have faced in the past. So that aspect is something that I hope my audience could take away from this film, Incognito.
Cool. Yeah, I am definitely going to have to look up this story, see what I can find online about it, because it sounds really fascinating. I know you said you kind of played around with the ending there to, kind of change it up a little bit. But yeah, I'd be curious to know how this all kind of played out in real life.
Yeah.
Check out the video. I could send out the link, send you guys the link to that original video.
Okay.
Not like a documentary, it's more like a just a narrator talking about the whole thing and how it happens back in 90s. So it doesn't involve any copyright, so we just took it. And
Cool.
Nice.
All right. So before we go, being that this is a horror podcast, I want to know what your favorite horror film is.
Ooh.
You don't have to give me just one if you want to give a couple, but yeah.
Okay.
Just
that would make things much easier. I would say Don't Breathe was a great one. Okay. Don't Breathe.
That was
cool. Yeah, we just reviewed that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we just reviewed Don't Breathe and Don't Breathe 2.
The 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Also Get Out. I feel like it's very rare to see horror movie those horror movies incorporating some dark comedy elements in it. Yeah. So Get Out is definitely the one stands out the most among other best horror films in the past. So but off the top of my head, I could only think of these two that really lingers in my mind long after I watched it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and those are two newer films. And did you see Don't Breathe 2 yet?
I haven't. I was referring to the one, but I've been I've been wanting to see it watch that movie at the theater. Yeah, go check it out. I'm a strong proponent of theater viewing experience. So,
definitely.
I could if I could take advantage and really get into the theater, watch a film, I would not just watch on the TV screen or laptop or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You might have to get to the theater quickly if you're going to catch Don't Breathe 2, because I don't know how much longer that's going to be around.
Yeah, I just saw it yesterday, and I was surprised it was still at my theater. So,
yeah, I know it's been out for a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Thanks for coming on the show, Jacky.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's been pleasure, talking to you guys and sharing my filmmaker experience to your audience.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it. Let us know in the future, whatever you've got going on. We'll have you back on the show so you can talk about this TV show that you were just finishing up and this action film and, whatever else you got going on. We would love to have you back.
Yeah. The TV show happens to have a few stars to touch, same as the feature film. I will keep you guys updated.
All right. Great.
Awesome.
Okay, well, this has been an interview with Jacky Song. Go check out his short film Incognito when it is available. We'll let you know. We'll put a link out there or something through our Instagram or Facebook or whatever, so you guys can go check it out when it's available. And that's it. This has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Jacky bite.